Hello, and thank you for joining us in this session on how financial services must evolve to support the gig economy. You can ask questions via the Q&A chat box on your screen during this session, and you can share your tweets via hashtag #BankingRevolution. And now I'll introduce you to Lilac David, co-founder and CEO at Lilly. Lilac, thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, really globally, the freelance and gig economy has been growing in recent years. What is the scale of these operations now?
So we're very focused on the US economy, and within the US economy is already 40% of the US workforce are practicing self-employed, either as a full-time position or as a side hustle. And it's expected to grow to 50% of the economy by the end of the year.
And so obviously with these people with with gig economy workers, they get paid kind of per job or per delivery that they make, and it's a very different way of maybe running a business or running a kind of as you said, like a side hustle. So what are the issues that are faced by these employees when they're using traditional banking?
I think first, I'm not sure that referring to them as gig economy employees are a good phrase. I think, the freelance economy is a mix of a lot of people that are self-employed, either, doing that as a full-time position or as a part-time position. They are sometimes small business owners or, just working remotely. And I think, what is common about them is that they're facing a lot of different challenges of building your own business, being your own employer, and so on. So looking into what it means, actually, it means that they have to take care of all of the different aspects of managing a business, whether it's, getting customers, serving them, creating a project or a product, then getting paid, issuing invoices, and overall managing expenses, managing taxes, and credit if they want to grow and scale their business. So it's a lot of different aspects. Like on an average, they will use 7 different softwares just to go by on a day-to-day routines.
So what specific needs is it that Lilly really helps them to deal with? You've already said they use so many different forms of software normally. So how does Lilly amalgamate this to maybe reduce those pain points and that friction for them?
So if you think about it, those individuals are very busy in running their business. They don't have enough time to spend all money on all of those different solutions. So looking into an experience that is going to be all in one embedded, which means that you will save time, you will save money, and everything is going to be automated for you. So you don't have to invest the effort, but you also take back control. So like where you stand, your financials, you're saving for taxes and so on. So what we have done is like two different things. One was actually to look at the category as a category by itself. So it's not a consumer, it's not a business. It's something in between that has specific needs. And by addressing that specific category as a freelance banking category means that we're very focused on their specific challenges. In addition to that, we thought that banking wasn't enough. So, like, yes, they want to have access to better financial services, but it's not just about the financial services. It's also about the business tools they need, the tax tools they need, all of the different aspects to manage their business. So, from our point of view, embedding the software in the banking experience meant that they could do everything in just one app. And that's the goal for Lilly. So we want to empower those individuals to have access to all of those services just in one app.
I think to move on from that point, so we have a question that's just come through. Thank you. If you have any questions you can ask during the session, please do. What do gig economy workers want from a banking system?
I think they want to get more than just, a place to store the money. They want to get access to funds as fast as we can, so getting paid faster. They want to have somebody helping them manage their expenses and taxes. With Lily, if you look at the experience that we have created, everything is automated. Like whenever you swipe a transaction, the use case means that you swipe, you get a push notification, it's automatically categorized. So everything generates from there, like your in financial insights or income and expense report. you can opt into the tax bucket, which means that every time an income hits the account, we will take a percentage out of it and move it for a tax saving account, which means that when tax season comes, you will have enough money saved aside. So like I think the expectations are to get the bundled experience. So like if they can be served in a different way, if the financial institutions can add on different services like bookkeeping, estimating taxes, expense management, invoicing, credit, and so on, I think they will be in a better position to solve those specific challenges that that specific economy is facing.
Right. We've had another question as well, which I think is looking at it more from the banking side perspective. So, how big of an opportunity is the freelance economy for banks and financial institutions? But also, how big is the risk?
I think, if you look at the size of the economy, we're talking about 60 million people just in the US alone, and they are responsible for 1.2 trillion dollars on a yearly basis. So I think, the segment is actually very big. And even if you dive on the variety of sectors, like mostly when everybody's saying gig economy, they're imagining like a Uber driver or a DoorDash delivery and so on, but the freelance economy is actually much bigger than that and older than that. So, like, you're looking at engineers, construction workers, fitness and beauty professionals, all the way from contractors to drivers, delivery, and so on. So, like, you have a variety of skilled and non skilled self employed. You have a variety of very digital native and not, very millennial and Gen Z, but actually a lot of people on retirement. So it's a huge opportunity if you're looking at that specific angle.
And that's really interesting talking about it from a multi generational approach. I think, like as you say, the perception is maybe of the kind of freelance gig economy workers as being, quite young, but also, for people who are older or maybe looking to do, some part time work, perhaps, as you say, in retirement. How are they
Yeah.
adapting to using more digital forms of banking? Do you find?
I think, at the end, the pandemic had shifted and accelerated the access to online services in general, including financial services. So you didn't have access to all of those different, on-site physical locations. So you had to go, online to look for different solutions. And mainly in the financial industry, it meant that people were willing to actually try different financial products and use their app more, shop online and so on. So like even the older generation is now very easily using the mobile phone to do a lot of the different aspects of the day to day. So why not banking? I don't think it means anymore. Like, do you have a branch? Is it near your home, and so on? Why would you want to go out to go to a branch if you can do everything from your mobile phone? And I think the pandemic really, really made it happen.
Yeah, and I was going to ask around that. Obviously the pandemic really changed a lot of things. From your perspective and your experience, did you see a shift towards more people using the app, for example, or moving towards doing more kind of freelance work because of the pandemic?
Yeah, I think definitely the pandemic and the recession were causing even more people to look for independent work. Either they lost their job or they wanted to get more security, to diversify their income and be in a more stable place. So we saw a lot of people, going back home and working from home and so on. So why not explore that flexibility, actually working from home to, address more options like getting your own business, starting your own business online, or so on and so forth. So when we were looking at Lilly, we were at the right place at the right time because when people are just starting, access to all of the different services that we are offering is crucial because they don't want to go and look for all of those different services. They want to have like an embedded all-in-one solution. So when we were looking at the last year, even less than a year, we grew 1,200 in customer acquisition and also in volumes and every aspects of using the product. What we are seeing is most of the customers that are using the product are using the app 45 times a month, which means that they're on top of their finance, they're categorizing expenses, they're saving on taxes. It's the primary app for becoming a freelancer.
And looking towards it from the kind of the freelance aspect, people who maybe have decided to move into a more freelance way of working, or perhaps first time entrepreneurs. And when someone has a really great idea about setting up a business or a new opportunity, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have the full understanding of what the business requirements are there. So, do you find any issues really around financial literacy amongst the workers and understanding how best to manage their funds, from even a very simple way of just knowing how to save to be able to pay tax later, or to have a savings pot, right the way through to people who maybe have to manage kind of running an inventory, for example?
I think it's definitely a pain point. It's not just for people that are just starting. We can interview, like we've interviewed a lot of the freelancers that have been doing that for over 5 years, and they still don't know anything in regards to taxes and expenses. By the end of the year, it's a mess. And I guess what we have done is actually put a strong um, attention to content and education. So I think we're the only one that is actually creating a blog on a weekly basis, even sometimes twice a week, with all of those different resources and knowledge and know-how that we can share with our users. But it's also embedded within a monthly newsletter. It's embedded within the app, so like you do have access to all of those different resources, especially during COVID when it was very crucial that you will be on top of it. Like the government had a lot of the different stimulus packages that you can opt in, loans and so on. But it's not just that, it's actually about how do you market your business, how do you incorporate if you should, how do you price a project or a project and so on. So like I think there is a lot of knowledge that is missing, and the being a freelancer is actually very lonely. It's all about you. And I think embracing the power of the community and making sure that we can share the experiences through video or just a written experience, share some items, walk you through the process of filing your taxes, of managing the expenses on a daily basis and so on. I think those were really, in a position to serve that community better, and them being in a position to serve their business better.
And some questions really around how Lily kind of operates as an app and how a user might use the app. So, for example, how can Lily customers, how can they access their cash? Is there a debit card or credit card which comes with the account?
Yeah, definitely. So it's a checking account with a Visa business debit card, and you have multiple ways to put money into the account. And in some of the options, will give you access to your money 2 days earlier. Some of it is actually in real time, so it depends on the method of payment. But we also, like, the experience is very easy. I think the feedback that we are getting is how easy the user interface is, how self-explanatory it is, but also about how fun the engaging the experience is. Because one of our customers was actually referring to it, it's like dating my expenses, because whenever you do a push notification, whenever you swipe a transaction, you get a push notification, and the only thing you have to do is categorize a transaction, whether it's work, which is business, or life, which is personal. And the experience, it's like a Tinder experience. So I guess what we wanted to create is like an app that you will have fun working with, and you don't feel like you have to work for the app.
And unlike Lily itself as well. So, the way the accounts work is that there's no fees attached to it. So, from a really practical perspective, how does the app actually make money for you? How does this work as a business for you?
So whenever you swipe your card, we get interchange fees, which is the way that Visa and Mastercard are operating within all of the different countries, and you don't have to pay the fees. We're getting that from the associations, and it's kind of a processing fees per transaction. So that's our main revenue stream.
Okay, understood. And also as well, Lily is it's a still relatively new app, but you've been really growing and you attracted Series B funding as well early this year. So where did that investment come from, and how are you going to use that additional financing?
So we were very lucky, I think, to choose wisely our investors that are very supportive, and but they also believe in the mission, and they want to be in a position to serve the underserved and make sure that financial products are accessible for everybody that needs it. and they have been supportive from day one. So we had different VCs joining in the different rounds, but everybody that was there on day one is still there and supporting us. Group 11, which is our main investor, very focused on the fintech industry and serving the underserved, but also a lot of the different VCs that joined later on are keen believers on the fact that we do need to make things better for that specific economy. And if we want that to grow and succeed, especially now during COVID, when a lot of women actually lost their jobs and started working as freelancers, and 60% of our audience actually are women. So we feel like we want to do something that will create an impact within the world, and Lily is the way that we introduce that solution.
That's really interesting as well. There's such a defined gender split as well between the user base. And do you think that there has been more of a women are finding it maybe is more of a flexible way of working to move towards a more freelance economy?
Yeah, I think, first they didn't have a lot of choice when pandemic hit, and, kids were back at home, and everything was, not organized or not stable and not secured. So I think, the options were, making sure that they have access to all of those different services, making sure that they can work from home and start a business. A lot of them, were fired, over the last year, and, freelance was a way to start back and get back to the economy. And we see that as a full-time position, but also as a part-time position. And I feel like financial services in general are way too complicated, and especially women that don't have a lot of time, they have a lot of different tasks to juggle around. They want to get like a product that is really, really, from a tone of voice, from an experience point of view, really understand their needs. So I think, Lily, even the name, the look and feel and so on, really resonates both with men and women. But I feel like it's very different from the traditional industry if you look at the experience and the style and so on. So I feel like we have to be in a position to better serve our community and make sure the products are really, really good.
We've had a couple of questions come through. It's from, I think, the same person, but I will submit these as two different questions to you. So, first of all, do you think policymakers can do more to support freelance economy workers in terms of their finances?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there's a lot of focus that has you know, been done over the years on 9 to 5 employees and what do they need, the security they need, and so on. And the freelance economy is actually left a bit alone to manage all of the different aspects of financials, getting paid, security, but also insurance, health, and so on. So there are a lot of different pain points, and I think definitely we can do better. It's also about education from day one, making sure that you have access to resources, making sure that you know where you can get all of those different benefits and so on. So yeah, definitely more can be done.
For the second part of the question, so how does Lilly view developments outside of the US market?
Oh, that's a really interesting one. So we're very focused on the US economy because it is big, it is growing, and it is changing. So we feel like we can make a difference. But I feel like the freelance economy is as a trend that we are looking at globally, Europe, Asia, the Americans, and so on. So, us moving into different markets, it's going to be about the opportunity, how educated the market is. Do they need this different services that we are offering? I think taxes, expenses, those are all global challenges for everybody. But again, there are different regulation within every country, and we have to see what fits better.
Right. And you've talked around the services that Lilly already does provide. Are there any plans to maybe expand that, to maybe introduce other terms of more complex financial services? Maybe, maybe like loans or things like that.
That's a good one because we actually introduced Lily Pro in the middle of July, which is our premium professional services, professional account for freelancers. Because we were looking at the data and we saw that a lot of the freelancers are actually growing and scaling. They want to get access to more advanced services and tools. So that is why we created the Lily Pro, which has access to different features in addition to all of the different um, basic features that we have within the standard package. They do have access to invoicing with payments. They have access to cashback, savings with interest on 1% interest on an annual basis, but also overdraft, because you were asking about credit. And I think, credit is a big challenge for that specific segment. I think, overall they're considered riskier because their income is not stable. It's coming from different sources. It's not like every other week, like a 9 to 5 employee. So I guess on that specific aspect, they're also underserved. And we feel like we have enough data and we are in a better position to serve them with different products. So we started with overdraft, but that's, just the first thing that we worked on. Definitely more to come on the credit side as well.
Do you see the service kind of being offered anywhere else? Do you see what the services that you provide via the app? Do you think there's any other similar competitors like in the US market, or do you see that in any other countries internationally?
I guess if you're looking at the latest trends, everybody wants to be a bank. Everybody wants to serve the creator economy because they're looking at the trends and the way consumers are shifting from one traditional industry to the new economy. But I guess we find ourselves in a very, very unique position to offer the bundling experience of banking and tax tools and business tools. I feel like if you're looking at the specific pain points, it's not just about solving this one pain point. It's about trying to solve all of the different pain points. So a lot of the digital banks are, offering tailored solution for different populations. I think, there are many focused on the consumer side, many focus on bigger businesses. But I feel like for that specific group, we do have a very unique proposition.
And what do you see in terms of like the future development for Lily? Do you think that would be, maybe are you looking to expand into markets outside of the US?
We definitely want to be the go-to solution for freelancers. So if you're looking at the way that freelancers think and the way that they are looking for work online and so on, we want to be the first thing that they would download as an app and sign up, because really they will have access to all of those different services. We feel like there is a lot of potential within the US market. It's a big market, and we're now serving more than 30 different segments. But definitely, future looking ahead, we will serve, communities outside of the US as well.
And do you think the regulatory environment as well, in terms of the protections for freelance gig economy workers as opposed to kind of salaried employees, do you think that the regulation is set up to support them, or is there more that could be done to help these people? Like you say, they're an increasingly large proportion of the US economy. So is there more that can be done to protect them in terms of their work and also their finances?
I think it's definitely a trend that is a bit new, and not all of the different regulations are in place to protect that specific community. Like they are considered self-employed individuals, they own their own business and so on. But really they need to have access to all of the different tools like savings, pension, health insurance, other financial products. And it is complicated and it is pricey. So I guess, definitely more can be done. But I think it's a process. Like we are starting, we are seeing a lot of different innovation, focus on that specific economy. And in my point of view, the startup scene can definitely do more for that specific economy, and you're looking at different solution, coming up faster than before.
Great. So I think we're pretty much on to time now. So thank you so much, Lilac, for joining us and providing all that really great insight and about the work that Lily is doing. And I really appreciate speaking with you today. And
Thank you. Have an
for
amazing day.
Thank you so much. And for everyone watching, just a reminder that you can catch up on this session on demand on the website for the next 30 days. And next up, we have a fireside chat with Bob Diamond, founder, partner, and CEO at Atlas Merchant Capital, in conversation with Laura Noonan, financial regulation editor at the Financial Times.